Side at 5 continues now.
If you found a dying bear cub in the wild, what would you do? A Boise man who says he found himself in that situation thought he was doing the right thing, trying to save the cub. But as Steve Liebenthal reports, Fish and Game says he made the wrong decision.
Charles Erickson was coming home from a hunting trip when he saw something in the snow.
I'm like, what in the world's that? So I stopped, and my buddy looked out the window and he thought it was a badger.
As he got closer, Erickson realized what he was looking at was a black bear cub that appeared to be sick.
And so we got out, and there was no tracks, there was no sign of another animal. And I waited about 15-20 minutes before I even tried to catch it. I noticed that its gums were pure white and its tongue was pure white, so I knew it was obviously dehydrated. And it couldn't run from me and it couldn't walk.
So he made a decision. He decided to take the bear out of the wild to his Boise home, hoping to find someone who would be willing and able to rehabilitate it.
And I gave it some Pedialyte and some cat food. You know, I researched what to do.
He says he contacted Zoo Boise, who contacted Fish and Game. Conservation officers then contacted Erickson and confiscated the bear.
I said goodbye to the bear, I pet him, and I loved on him and told him I was sorry. I picked him up and I gave it to him.
Fish and Game's regional conservation educator Evan O'Neill says, as hard as it may sound, even if you think an animal might die in the wild, the best thing to do is leave it where it is.
The best advice we can give you is to leave it where you find it. And that might be a little harsh for some folks, but it's better for nature to take its course in those situations.
O'Neill says trying to care for a wild animal like this is not a good idea, but Erickson says he had no intention of keeping the bear.
I didn't kill it without a tag. I didn't torture it. I didn't neglect it. I didn't abuse it. I nursed it back to health. And I was going to give it to a place that would make it live and survive and have a quality of life.
In this case, as in most cases like this, what Erickson viewed as the right thing morally, saving what appeared to be a dying orphaned animal, is the wrong thing to do legally.
It's against the law to pick up a wild animal and take it home, but it's also a really bad idea, because when people do that, most of us are out of our wheelhouse.
Steve Liebenthal, 6 on your side.
Fish and Game says officers use their own discretion when deciding whether to cite someone for taking an animal from the wild, and in this case they chose not to cite Erickson. Tonight, the state veterinarian is treating the cub and will assess whether it can be rehabbed.